Hello, we are live. Welcome and good evening to everyone who has made that time to join us on this exciting and exhilarating class. I am so sure that you that have joined this class is because you're a parent, you're looking forward to helping your children to be great communicators. And I'll promise you that this class is going to be a very short life, very impactful, and at the end of the day, you would pat yourself on the back and say you did a good job to sign up for this webinar. Besides, it's free. So if your friend, your neighbor, your colleague, your brother is not here and you know that person is a parent, please do well to invite him or her so they can join us on this class. And if you haven't subscribed, please do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you get notifications whenever we are live. So the topic today is a very exciting one because as a parent, we're mostly interested in making sure that we give our children the best. We want our children to have the best of everything. But sometimes we feel the school is not doing enough, right? We feel sometimes something needs to be done to augment what the school does. And that is why I've decided to come up with this topic to help you as a parent. So please let me know if you can see my screen. Please use the chat. I can read. Yes, so please use the chat to let me know that you can see my screen because it's about to get hot. It is about to get hot. So please do well. Let me know. Let me know if you can see my screen. Just say, I can see your screen or say yes. So I'm using my phone to read your chat. Please do let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see the topic? So the topic for today is raising skilled communicators. Raising skilled communicators, how to build your child's speaking skills at home. So the school is not enough. Is not enough because think about it. These teachers have a lot. What they do sometimes can be very cumbersome, right? They have so much to do. They have so many things to do. They have targets to meet. They have scheme to, cover. There's this pressure on teachers as well as school owners. And even when the children come home to you, please don't mind my voice. I'm a little under the weather. But the webinar must hold, right? So please let me know if you can see my screen. Very important. Let me know if you can see my screen. So the school is not enough. That's why as parents, when those children get home, we also need to kind of reinforce what the school has done. That way you will get a faster result. And that's what has birthed this topic, raising skilled communicators. We want to know what it means to raise skilled communicators. Okay, so before we get into that, I'd like you to know that in today's fast-paced, globalized world, effective communication is non-negotiable because most of us cannot even take up to 10 minutes, 15 minutes watching a particular video. We're just scrolling past because there are a lot of information to digest. The social media is so, so, so saturated. Things to keep you, entertained. And we do not want to get bored. Now, imagine you going to the same online space where a lot of people are doing so well for themselves, and then you do not have good communication skills. It's going to be very, very devastating. So effective communication is not negotiable. Now, whether your child is in the classroom or on a stage or debating, or the school has said, oh, we want John, your daughter, John, your son, to come represent the school in this particular competition. Whatever it is that your child has to do, just know that communication skills are essential. And think of it, parents. Most times when we have, children that are being selected either for a debate or any sort of competition that has to do with speaking, the school will always like to choose those children who are very outspoken, those children who are very socially intelligible, because they feel those children can express themselves better and they will be able to communicate their thoughts right. So children are made readers on the laps of their parent. And this is a quote by Emily but world, right? So you might ask, like, what does this mean, children? It just means that parents, we have a lot to do. There's a lot of reinforcement that we're supposed to do as parents. Greater responsibility lies with us because think of it, before a child gets to the age of 3, when you send a child to school, some of our children are in school at the age of 2 sometimes. The basic things the child learned, the little language that the child has learned is from the family, is from the house, right? So you realize that parents have a lot, parents have a lot to do when it has to do with, children and helping the children to speak right. And that is why this is very effective. I can remember when I was growing up, my dad would always make sure that every evening he would read a story to us. So we had this book, Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves, right? Quite voluminous book. So my dad would make sure that we have to finish all we're doing and then we have to sit at his feet to listen whilst he read to us. And it's a very fun and interesting moment because we look forward to that moment. This is a time where we want, to have that connection and bonding. To us, we're always looking forward to reading time with daddy, but it was not just that bonding alone. It was also a way to make sure that he was teaching us. He was trying to build our vocabulary. He was trying to make sure that we get exposed to words, just to help make sure that we as children would be very conversant. So parents, we have a lot to do because by the time those children get into the school basically reinforces, even though at times, formative years, formative age of the child, the school has a lot to do. But then the family, you cannot just underestimate what the effort of the family. It is very important that as a father and as a mother, you help your children. And that's why this quote is very powerful, that children are made readers on the laps of their parents. Now, before we continue in this, I'd like you to meet me. My name is Jubilant Justice. I am an experienced, passionate, and certified elocutionist for the past 9 years with Lantern Lingo. So I'm a board member with Lantern Lingo. Lantern Lingo is an organization whereby they deploy diction teachers to schools to handle their speaking needs. My skills encompass precise pronunciation, all of that. I've trained quite a lot of people, over 10,000 people. And I'm a Jollyphonics expert, a school consultant. I was once a pronouncer for Spelling Bee. I am the lead trainer at Diction Craft Academy. This is my baby online school for adults and children. I am a mother and I am a wife to a delicious king. Yes, so a delicious king, not just any type of king, to a delicious king. Now, it's very important we take note of the importance of speaking, yeah, because we might just feel, oh, what does this have to do with my child? Or I think my child can speak English. No, it's not just about, your child speaking English alone. When it has to do with communication skills, a lot of things are in place, should be in place. There are a lot of advantage. Maybe you feel, oh, I want my child to just learn Igbo. These people are just trying to modernize this thing and bring in the Western culture, and then our native language get to die. No, we are not saying you should eradicate your native language, but we're also, this is not just streamlined to English language alone. It also has to do with your native language. You can use these skills, you can deploy it into any language you want your child to learn. So welcome to this webinar. Thank you for joining me today on boosting your child's speaking skills. So the importance, you need to understand why we say that these speaking skills are important, or are important for effective communication. And the first thing that I am going to say that helps your child to basically speak their way to stardom is for them to have good academic success. Because it's in the school that we get to see children playing out some of the things that they have built on. And a man can only say as much as he knows. If your child is not equipped with, these things to help them shine in school, it becomes difficult. It becomes a problem, right? So children who can articulate their thoughts so well, children who know how to express themselves, are more likely to excel in school. So they see those children as the go-to children, they are very outspoken. So speaking skills basically enhance their ability to participate in class discussion, to present their project, when it has to do with answering questions, to represent the school, the children are always there because they can articulate their thoughts so well. It's not just about twisting their voice to speak. Can they be able to answer on the spot questions? So these are the things you have to look into. Then the next is social interaction. Social skills are very important, and good communication skills can help children to form and maintain friendships. It can help children to maintain friendships. They can express their feelings to their friend. Oh, today I really feel so sad. Why do you feel so sad? Oh, well, my mom told me this morning that I cannot have ice cream. Oh, really? What was her? Oh, she said it was morning and it was too early to have ice cream. So you find out that a child who has good social skills will be able to, maintain friendship. You'll be able to express how you were feeling, resolve conflict, engage in meaningful conversation so that not when you ask a child question, oh, do you think that it is right to take ice cream in the afternoon? And the child just says no and has no further thing to say because the child cannot come up, make good and meaningful communication. So it's something that parents needs to, understand that it's very important for their children to have good communication skills. And the next is self-confidence. Hey, confidence comes from a place of competence. So when a child knows that, oh, well, I can express my thoughts, I can say things, I do not have issues, relating to people and engaging in real conversation, that child will be self-confident. Being able to speak confidently will be able to boost that child's self-esteem. So when other children are withdrawn, trying to get into the shell or say, oh no, don't call me, I'm not available, that child is like, oh, if they select me, that's fine. So it builds their self-esteem and self-worth. They don't feel less of themselves because they know that this is what they can do. It empowers them to share their ideas very well. It also helps them to participate in activities because they are social, right? It helps them to take on leadership roles. Think of all the prefects you have in school, from the head girl to the head boy. Is any of them shy? No, because they have to come up to address the pupils, their fellow pupils. Right now, if you go to primary school and high school, you would realize that they've taken election very seriously. So it's not like when we went to school that they can just, appoint someone to be the head girl or head boy. No, right now, good schools, well, good schools are trying to make sure that these children will have to come up with a manifesto. They'll have to tell their fellow students or pupils why they should choose them or why they are capable for the post they're vying for. So what does that tell you? It is building the self-confidence of those children. It helps them to take on leadership roles because they know that they are equipped with all the communication skills that they need to thrive. Yes. And the last is future opportunities. So strong speaking skills are very essential for future success, both in higher education. So when we talk about future opportunities, it's basically you laying a good foundation for those children that would carry them. It's just like a house. If your foundation is not strong, if it's not good enough, you won't be able to thrive or sustain it. So when you have built a good foundation for your children, it helps them to get exposed for future opportunities in the workplace, in the high institution, different areas. There's this girl, Chidera of Emmanuel's International School. If you know Abba, well, this is in Abba. I was in Abba, and then at the time she was in SS3. So after WAEC and all, she enrolled for JAM in all these private classes, lesson centers rather. So she just came to school one of the days and then she told me because I gave her my contact. So she got on the phone with me and she said, Miss Juby, my chemistry teacher at the lesson center is asking me why I learned how to speak right. And I said I learned in school. And he was asking if I could teach his children. I'm like, whoa, I don't think I can. I said, what? Tell him that you can. You have me here, so I would tell you what to say. So why am I telling you this story? This girl was able to make, this was as about at about 2018 or so, 2018, 2019. Yes, just before COVID, that was 2018. So she was able to make extra 30K monthly just from teaching other children. And I can still remember her story when she got to school, higher education. she got admission in Unical, and then she was queuing. You have to queue for documentation, registration, getting of your mat number and all that. And then she was sharing her experience with me. The first day she queued, there was no result. The second day she queued, there was no result. And then on the third day, she just decided to walk up to the door and she started speaking right. And the woman said, "Everyone leave the window, leave there. I have a visitor." Because she has heard someone who is speaking so clearly and well, and the person is able to communicate her thoughts right. So the woman inside thought that maybe she's an abroad student, right? So why am I sharing this story with you? When a child has strong speaking skills, right, you're helping that child to be successful, both in higher education, at the workplace, and different endeavor with social interaction, different areas. It's also for interviews, yes, presentation, networking. These are very important. All of these are very important. And I hope that you shouldn't think that, oh, I don't need this, or what do I need this for? What does my child need this for? So you see that just this for alone, there are tons of it, tons of importance of speaking right. While a child should be able to have good communication skills, which I cannot even begin to re-emphasize because this is going to be a very short webinar of just 1 hour. So now that we've looked at the importance of speaking skills, I'd like us to look at the proven methods to improve these speaking skills, because it's not just about saying, oh, this is good, this is good. What can parents do? What are the things that needs to be put in place to make sure that your children would have a robust and a rich learning environment? What are those things that the parents can do to make sure that their children would improve their speaking skills? Before we look at that, sometimes parents, we contribute to our children being, withdrawn and all of that. And as a parent, when we begin to look at how to handle shy children, from today, I'd like you to make a decision to contribute to your child's success when it has to do with speaking. So when we get to, because there will be a question and answer session, I'd like to also hear your thought and know what you think about it. So the first thing we need to do is to create a language-rich environment. Now, this is not just about English alone. You can use all of these tips and skills that I am giving you to deploy it into any language that you want your child to learn. It's not just about English alone. Any language at all that you want your child to learn, you can use any of these skills to help them. Now, the first is to read aloud daily. How do you create a rich environment, a rich language environment? Read aloud daily. When I started, I shared my story with you on how my dad would always sit us. So we're always looking forward to that moment to make sure we've done the dishes, we've, fixed things. Then, of course, I have not started cooking. I was still, I think, about 5 or 6. Yes, so I was still way much younger. I had not gotten into the kitchen. So the little things we could do, my mom would say, do the dishes, sort your uniform, make sure you. So we'll do all of that. We're just rushing. You need to see the way we'll be going back and forth in the house to make sure that we will be ready, because it's usually 9. Reading time is always 9. So once we're done, we sit. So reading aloud to the children, then now I'm beginning to appreciate what my dad did for us then. And I hope to also have that same culture. As a family, as a parent, you should have culture in your family. Oh, in our house, in our family, this is what we do. This is what we do. This is our routine. This is what we imbibe with, to make sure that these children will grow with it. And you're also helping to broaden their horizon and their scope. So if you make reading daily, reading aloud a daily habit, you just have to choose variety of books, to spice it up. The reason we always read Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves, we also read Aladdin and the is it the something lamp? Aladdin, there's this other book. So these two books, they were quite voluminous. Like, it took us almost a year to complete one of the books, if not more than a year. So if you didn't have such, robust or voluminous book, you could just choose a variety of books. Make sure that they are age appropriate. By being age appropriate and engaging, the children will be able to relate to your story. They will be able to, connect to what you're saying, not that you're reading to them and then they're sleeping off or they're dozing off. So you could use different voices for the characters to make the story to come alive, right? If you come to our online school, there's what we call vocal variety. It's your ability to deploy different voice textures to represent what you're talking about at that moment. So it's very important that you use this when you're reading to your children to make the story to come alive. If you go to the UK, reading is a very important feature in the UK schools. So basically, what they do, we have reading time where all the children would sit. You would see it is part of their timetable. They are not learning, or it's just reading, whereby the teacher just sits and the children, is usually story time. The children will just sit around the teacher and then the teacher begins to read to the children. So you think it's not important? It's very important. I cannot even start explaining to you all the benefits of the reading, what it does for the children. So for example, if your storybook is about the Gruffalo, for example, you have to use a deep voice, like a gruffy voice, like and the high pitch when it's about the mouse is and the graph was not there. I'm so sorry, said the mouse. And the gruffalo say, don't do that next time, else. So this is you employing different vocal variety. And the children, we just see your children giggling like, wow, it's exciting. They get very interested, when you're doing that. And they'll be looking forward to that moment with you. It's also an opportunity to bond with your children, right? So the next is engage in conversations. Some of us parents, the children just gets back from school. Oh, take off your uniform, your food is in the flask, or after that, make sure you have your nap, do your assignment, and then you've not even asked the child how his or her day was. So for you to build a rich language environment, you need to engage your child in a meaningful conversation. Talk to your child regularly. Don't make it to be, my assistant teacher is here. Go to daddy. So talk to your child regularly. And how do you do this? You need to ask open-ended questions that encourage them to think and respond to you in complete sentences. Sorry for that distraction, my son. So you need to ask them open-ended questions, not questions that they would just answer you with a yes, no. Did you have fun today? They'll say yes. How was it? Fine. Don't ask such questions. Oh, even when you were asking, oh, did you have fun today? The child would say yes. Or could you tell me the things you did in school that made you to have fun? You are telling that you're putting the child on his feet to start thinking different activities, scenarios where he was interested, what made him to have fun. And you'll see the child becomes very expressive to start telling you, what he did. So instead of you just asking, oh, did you have a good day? How about using WH questions to WH words to ask your child? You could say, oh, what was the most interesting thing you did in school today? So your WH words are the who, when, what, which, how, where. So instead of you asking your child, are you happy today? The child will just answer you yes or no. You could just ask, what was the fun thing that made you very happy in school today? You're using what? What is a WH word? You're using that. It's an open-ended question whereby the child can say, speak for as long as 10 minutes, telling you all that happened in school and the classmate, the new friend he or she made. So you see, that when you engage your child in meaningful conversation over time, the child will get used to expressing himself or herself. That's how one of the ways you can build a rich language environment. The third is to use rich vocabulary. Parent, this is as powerful as every other tip. Use rich vocabulary. So you introduce new words in context, explain their meanings. Don't just tell the child, I'm flabbergasted. This is a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old. So you have to use vocabulary, even if you were using such, don't just use that without explaining such to the child. So you have to make sure that you're explaining it to the child so the child can understand what it means, right? And then you encourage the child to use it in a sentence. So you could say, oh, I was very livid today. And the child will begin to ask, oh, mommy, what is livid? And then you explain, oh, livid is more like a form of anger. So could you use livid, could you use livid in an example, use it to make sentence? So for example, during dinner, you might encourage the child to say, oh, maybe you've taught the child the word sumptuous, yeah, and then you say, oh, would you describe this food as I want to say delicious, but I don't want to use delicious is my husband. So would you say that my food is tasty? And the child would say, yes, it's tasty. Oh, what other word could you use to describe a tasty food? And then, oh, what word did we learn again today? And the child will be able to recall. If the child hasn't remembered, you remind that child. Because one thing about this thing is, if you don't use it, you would lose it. So once you introduce new vocabulary to the child, make sure that you are always making sure that the child will use such vocabulary to avoid losing it. All right. So it's very important that we do all of these to have or to create a rich or language environment for the child. And the next is to encourage expressive language. Expressive language is not just about speaking. There are things that you could do. Have role-playing games, where the child can be the father. That's the regular one, the one we all know that we did when we were way much younger, right? I am the father, you are the mother. I am daddy, you are mommy. So who would be the baby? And then we'll begin to say, oh, honey, oh, our daughter is going to school. Yeah, let's take her to drive her to school. That's the regular ones we did. Go online, search for, role-playing activities, basically the ones that involve dialogue. They will definitely help you. It could be as simple as acting as the doctor, or acting as the storekeeper, or acting as the principal of the school. Okay, so these scenarios will make your child to practice different conversational roles that would just help him to be very good. For example, if the child is a storekeeper, there should be someone who will come in as the customer. So you take turns to ask questions where you say, how much is this? Sometimes we tell our children, oh, go and buy 10 naira own. 10 naira own. It's because what is 10 naira own? Where you should say 10 naira's worth, right? That is the worth of what you are buying, not the own. It's part of the vocabulary I learned growing up because we would always say, I bought 100 naira own, 200 naira own, as against, please, who else can relate? I hope I'm not the only one that has ever heard, money and then we say own instead of worth. Please, if I am not the only one in this WhatsApp group, I need you to indicate, just say you are not alone. So I know that you can relate to this particular one because it's very important. Just use the chat box there and say you are not alone. Then the next is storytelling sessions. Yeah. So encourage your child to tell their own stories. And what we do basically is, as consultants for schools, our first week of resumption to make the children talk in, because we want to know if they've been able to lose their addiction or if they are still speaking right. So we just have them tell us a story or share a story of how they spent their holiday. So this is not that's they'll get to start writing. So everyone would stand and tell us how they spent their holiday. We might not be interested in what they are saying, but we are interested in how they are saying it. Because that's what speaking is all about. It's not about what you say, it's about how you say what you say. Very key. It's very key. Yes, I'm still looking at the chat box. Please use the chat box. So provide prompts, or let them narrate their day, what the things that happened in school. It helps them in structuring their thoughts so well as improving fluency. Some people are naturally fluent, but not eloquent. So how do you build fluency? Is storytelling could help in building fluency. For instance, you could ask a child to tell you a story of their superhero. A lot of them love Spider-Man for the men, the guys, the little boys. So it could be Cinderella. Just tell them to come up with a story about their favorite cartoon character. This way you are building their vocabulary and you're making sure that it's in a very language-rich environment. Now, the next is to incorporate technology wisely. So what you can do, make sure that you use educational apps and programs, especially that are age appropriate, so that we can get to reduce screen time for those children. Sorry. So use apps and programs that are designed to improve language skills for those children. Ensure that your screen time is balanced with other activities. For example, we have apps like ABC Mouse. We have reading, is it reading eggs or reading something? But I'm so sure of ABC Mouse. It helps them to have more interactive lessons and activities for the children. And the next is the one I can relate to, video calls with family. Video calls with family. So you have that auntie or brother or sister who would always want to, my younger sister, every day she would call, video call. I want to speak with Ziora. Where is Ziora? And I'm like, he's not here, he's sleeping. Sometimes I even find it annoying, right? Because I can be in the middle of something important and she would just call, where is Ziora? Give Ziora the phone. Where is Ziora? Where is Ziora? Every day. So right now, Ziora has been able to learn how to say bye-bye, say the basic little baby words. That way, because the person on the other side of the phone, if your child is up to full 5 and can speak so well, the person will begin to ask open-ended question, the one we talked about. Oh, what did you eat today? What did mommy make for you? Who made your hair? The child will get expressive at this moment, begin to talk about all that he or she did in the day, and you'd realize that it is one proven method to make sure that your children are speaking. All right. And then the next is, practice, practice, practice. Practice, practice, practice. So I'm going to tell you what an old man told me, not basically old. I had a training one of the times, and then when I used to have my trainings on WhatsApp, and then please give me a minute. Have it serious cold. And then the man said, I said, how many of you have learned? How many of you have learned, or how was this powerful for you? And everyone said, oh, we've learned. In fact, the class was so impactful. I learned so much more. And then the man said, he should be in his 60s. He said, Jubilant, we have only learned. The time that we can show that we have learned is when we begin to practice, when we begin to put in place all that we have heard. And how do we do that? When we practice. So this is where practice comes into play. You just have to practice. Now, how can the children practice? The first is to have what? Daily recitations. So the word is recitation, not recitation. But the word on its own is recite. As a noun is recite. When you have the continuous present, you say recitation. All right? So have your child to recite poems, to recite rhymes, to recite daily affirmation. The one I'm teaching my little boy now is to say, I am favored, I am blessed, I am loved. Just those 3 sentences. He might not be articulate enough to say blessed and favored, but he will just go to. He could just say the first word, I am best, I am fair. He's been making it over time. The child will get used to that, and it's also building vocabulary for that child. So it helps them for memorization. You're building their memorization skill, and as well as their pronunciation. You're helping them to flex the muscles of their mouth, because the mouth is the basic organ that we use to articulate words, right? Regular rhymes. We even have Cocomelon. They could watch a lot of Cocomelon and then they practice. Well, not so much, depending on the age as well. Then public speaking practice. You have to create opportunities for your children to speak in front of others. When it's time to speak, don't just say, oh, no, don't take my daughter. She's shy. She doesn't know how to express herself. Run, John, this is my daughter. She's so shy. Stop it. Stop it. You are making that child to feel public speaking is not for me. Oh, this is not a good thing after all. That means I don't have to be here. Oh, this is not right. So you as a parent would have to create speaking opportunities for your children, such as family gatherings, school events. Encourage your children to involve themselves in school events. The graduation, most schools have had their graduation. You ask them, oh, so what are you presenting? Are you part of those who are presenting? Encourage the child. If they say, oh, they were given script, so why didn't you take a script? Tell them to give you a script, So you could start that at home. We're looking at things that we can do at home as parents. You encourage them to take part in school. And you could also, maybe after dinner, You could just have them share a family fun fact, with them, or to just tell you one thing about their day, introduce themselves basically, to the family dinner, the whole family rather. So these are some of the things that we can do to make sure that we have a very good, rich language environment to help our children to speak. Now, we are going to address shy kids because I see a lot of parents do this, even during school activities. You will just hear that, oh, John's mother said that he wouldn't present. Why? No cogent reason. No cogent reason. And then some, their parents are too skeptical of failure. There's something called a telephobia. Do you know what that means? The fear of imperfection. You just want everything to go your way, to go as planned. You want it to be perfect, amazing, flawless. You don't want any but around it. You just want everything to go so well. That is a telephobia, and it's not good. It is not good. As a human, you should know that sometimes we're infallible. You're right? You'll make mistakes. So, how do we address this issue of saying that our children are shy? Some parents will be the one to tell, this my son, he's very shy. He doesn't like talking in crowd. And then the child is hearing all of these, he's digesting it, he's internalizing it. Now, when it's time for public speaking, the child remembers all the tags and label that you have given him, and so he feels withdrawn. I don't want to. My mommy said I'm shy. My daddy said I'm shy. The child feels withdrawn because the child has internalized all the tags that you have given him or her. So, parent, we have so much to do, so much more to give to our children than just paying their school fee and giving them food. Parenting is a skill, and I pray that you get to use all of these that I am introducing to you in this webinar and use it in your home. I'd like to get testimonies after this webinar so that you tell me how this went, if really it worked or not. If they work, I mean, they work. I like to know if they work, I mean, they work, right? Good. So one thing we could do is to create a safe and supportive environment, because for those children who are already feeling that way or feeling that they are shy, what you need to do is you need to ensure that your child feels safe and supported. Avoid putting them on the spotlight. Yeah. Avoid putting them in front of others when you know that you've already given them a lot of labels and tags and they're already feeling withdrawn. You have to start from the family circle where they're comfortable first before you begin to gradually expose the child. So provide opportunity to your child to speak in smaller settings, family group, before the teacher, just familiar faces. And then over time, you begin to expand it. And then the next is to use encouragement, not pressure. Encourage the child. Encourage the child. Praise their effort and their progress. Oh, John, well done, my son. You went to say the grace. After prayer, you said the grace. That's so thoughtful of you, my darling. Celebrate their success and be patient with setbacks because it's not automatic. It's a journey, it's a process, one step at a time, right? If your child speaks up in a group, and you didn't even see that coming, you're just like, was that John? Oh my God. But he doesn't speak. When you get home, buy something special for that child so that you're encouraging the child, right? Even if it is just a few words. I'm so proud of you. You have done so well. You made mommy proud. I love you. Thank you. I hope you get to do more, right? You're encouraging that child. Don't put pressure on the child. Don't just say, you must speak, oh, today, you must speak. No, that child will get more withdrawn and you're pushing him or her farther. So we want to pull them closer and not pull them away, take them away. And the next is role playing and pretend play. So this, has to do with what I mentioned before, where there are different role play. He could be the storekeeper, he could be the father. The ones we usually play when we were little. John is the father, I am the mother, and this is our daughter. And then we just act a family drama. We go steal our parents' rice and stuff, and we cook with a tin with sand outside. We steal all the pepper and all. So engage in role play game with your children where they can take on different activities. I've talked about this and I wouldn't like to reiterate. And the next is gradual exposure. So that moment where you've had him say something in a family setting or places, situations where he is familiar with the faces that are there, over time, you gradually expose the child to bigger audiences, right? Take larger groups. This gradual approach will help to build a child's confidence. Yes, it could be an extended family visit or during December, everyone travels. Encourage the child to read a story to grandpa, right? Where everyone is seated and learning. So you tell, oh, these are also your brothers and sisters, but they are coming from different places. We all have come to the village. You explain to the child. So the child does not just get surprised getting to the sitting room and seeing tons of people everywhere. So you need to communicate to your child. And the next is what? Listening and empathy. This is where you are very concerned about your child's feelings. Empathize with them. Validate their feelings. Provide reassurance. Let them know that you are there for them. That way, they'll be able to open up, to talk to you about their day, to tell you even when someone is bullying them. There's a lot of bullying in school, and because children don't have that good relationship with their parent, they tend to be withdrawn. There's no open communication line between them and their parent. So when they have such situation in school, they tend to just keep quiet because they are not used to speaking out. So let them know it's okay to feel shy at first. Everyone would experience it at one time or the other. Glossophobia, which is the fear of public speaking, is, knowing that you're getting the physical symptom of anxiety, nervousness. So if it happens to be that it's not just you and your daughter or your son, let the child know that it's okay for the child to feel nervous, but the nerves would suddenly disappear, right? And with this, we've been able to look at how to create this safe environment for our children. The next thing that we shall be looking at now is the common mistakes that parents make and how we can avoid them, because sometimes you also contribute to making our children not to speak so well in front of the crowd, how to get reserved and all of that. So let's find out those things that we do, because we might be doing these things and we don't even know. We don't take cognizance that, yes, these are the things that we are doing. Excuse my manners. So the first is overcorrecting speech errors. And this still has to do with all those perfectionist parents, those parents that are perfect. They feel that my child should not. Children would always be children. And as they are learning, you as an adult, you didn't get to automaticity at once. It was a journey. You learned how to speak, and over time you perfected the art of speaking. You were able to master your craft of speaking, right? So while it's important to, correct mistakes, overcorrecting can just lead to anxiety and reduce the child not to speak. The child gets so reluctant to speak. Correct, but correct in love. Sometimes when we go to school and we encourage these children to speak right, the next day or the next week, when they come to school, say, oh, my mommy said I shouldn't speak right at home, that she doesn't want me to speak right. And such children, they really struggle when the child is trying to say, oh, mommy, that's not the right pronunciation. The mama will just go, hey, this is not your school. Sure, if I hear it in this house, if I hear it, practical things like we get this feedback from parents, from children. Though, children don't know how to act. My mommy said diction is not good. No, we just say it. See, that's why most times we get parents in the know. We like to let them know that they also need to reinforce what we do. Please ignore the noise in the background with my baby. So, in as much as we want to correct gently, positively, and in love, instead of saying no, it's not cucumber, it's cucumber. Try to say, oh, great try. That was a good attempt, my darling. But let's say it this way. The right pronunciation is cucumber. All right? Not, come on, did I not teach you the child? You're just putting fear in that child. So please make sure that you are correcting, you are not overcorrecting. Yeah. And the next is not giving enough speaking opportunities. Sometimes children, you know how children's stories can be, right? They will start from Genesis, they will enter Revelation, come back to Exodus, and go back to Psalm. Oh, mommy, they will even let you talk. So just allow them. It's their time. Some children can ask questions and you just get exhausted, like, God, John, it's okay. I'm tired. Some children are like that, but children need opportunities to practice public speaking. Create more chances for your child to speak. Don't just say, keep quiet. You'll be talking, say, mature, no. What is this? When you choose the child just gets, feeling, oh, mommy does not want me to speak or daddy does not want me to speak. So encourage them to participate both in family discussion, phone calls that are being made, even to order food at a restaurant. Encourage them to do that. That's another mistake parents make. The next mistake parents make is excessive screen time. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Excessive screen time. Excessive screen time can hinder language development. Like children will get to, I'm not saying they will not speak, but if they're supposed to start speaking at the age of maybe 2 or 3, it will take more time, longer time. So you need to limit screen time to ensure that it is balanced with interactive and with language rich activities. I already gave you some examples of apps that you could use when you're on the screen to make sure that what your child is digesting or seeing is something that could help them. Then the next mistake parents make is ignoring non-verbal cues. Communication is not just about words. It's also about the non-verbal communication. That's what communication is, an all-encompassing subject. It's a very deep subject matter that it's not just about the words that you say. When you look at a child and you say this, did you say a word? No, you just did this. It's a non-verbal communication. So you have just communicated. So you need to teach your child body language, eye contact, facial expression. There are times where maybe a child wants to collect something from a visitor, but if you've not taught a child that when you open your eye and do this, that means no, that you keep doing this, and the child will say, Mommy, what's wrong with your eyes? You don't want that as a parent. Okay? So, parents, please do not ignore nonverbal cues. Begin to teach your child nonverbal cues as well. Play games that involve, in guessing emotion based on expression. So, how do you do that? You tell a child, oh, what does this mean? It's a game activity. The child will say angry or irritated. And then what does this mean? Look up. There are a lot of facial expression gestures that you could do that you find the meaning and introduce it to your child. That would definitely help them. Do not just ignore the verbal cues. I remember growing up, when you stand on the road with a boy, it doesn't matter if he's your classmate, if it's my mom would never want to care. But if our parents just see you on the road and just gives you this stern look, you already know what it means, and then you're running. But right now, when you look at them, they'll be like, oh, mom, you can't, it's not even a taboo, or it's okay for you to stand and talk with a man. It does not matter. So teach your child verbal cues that works even within your family setting. Then overusing educational apps. You know what they say, that too much of everything is too much. Yes, too much of everything is too much. So please, we have to make sure that when we're introducing this to the children, we're not doing it so much. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I learned this the very hard way because my son is 2 now, but I realized that he's still struggling to speak because way much when he was younger, he was a few months old, Cocomelon, I'll just put it, before him. He watched Cocomelon for how many hours? And I love it. I'm like, he's getting engaged, so I could go do other stuff. But that's not encouraging enough. And I've learned, I've acknowledged my mistake, and I wouldn't want you to, experience the same. While educational apps can be beneficial, yes, no one is saying they are not. Over reliance on these apps can hinder face-to-face interaction with the children. Because right now, even when I get to maybe play for 20 minutes or so, once you're calling him Zora, and he's just focused there. And I'm like, oh no, this has to stop. So over reliance on these apps or on this screen can hinder the conversation, the dialogue you're supposed to be having with that child. So try to balance it, right? Limit the constant use. Have more live conversation with your children. And then even if it has to deal with this screen time, make sure that it is limited, it is time bound. There's a time frame for it so they don't overuse it. Then the next is ignoring individual differences. See, every child is different, every child is unique in their own way, and every child develops at their own pace. So right now, why I'm feeling that my child is not speaking at 2, he's just 2, I'm still letting him know, I'm still telling myself that, okay, he's 2, he just turned 2 on the 22nd. So let me allow him because he has his own pace. Don't be hard on your children. Don't. Tailor your approach to suit your child's individual needs. When you know that, okay, he's going to take time to talk very well, avoid comparing them with other children. Focus on their progress, right? So that's another mistake parents make. Do not compare your children. Do not compare your child to your neighbors. Do not, do not, do not. Because when the child begins to grow and he realizes that you're comparing, it makes the child to have inferiority complex. Yes. The next is speaking for your child. When they're in a setting and they're asking, oh, why did you keep this? Okay, oh, I was taking it there. So when I realized, I just decide, mommy, hey, your blood is hot, so mommy, be coming down. They're not asking you. No one is asking you. So just speak for your child. It's natural to want to help your child, like to express your thoughts well, but speaking for your child can inhibit their development. You're just making that child to not grow, right? To not develop well. Allow the child, encourage your child to speak for themselves in appropriate situations. Yes. So give them time, give them the ability to express their thoughts themselves, right? Please do that. Then the other is neglecting nonverbal communication. I talked about the nonverbal cues, right? So that's still part of it, where you get to teach them your facial expression, body language, gestures, and all of that. So make sure that you introduce that to the children. Now, we are going to we've looked at the mistakes that parents make. Now, oh my God. Oh my God. Now, if you want to connect with me, you have the number. You could just take a screenshot of this to make sure that you can always call me if you have further questions after this class. You can just screen grab this. And then I'm on social media with the Diction Craft Academy, all of these. Please make sure. I have to take this boy out in a second. Come on, go to daddy. Go to daddy. Delicious. It's not easy to it's not easy to be a career woman and a mother. So you can screen grab this. I'm on all social media handles, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Diction Craft Academy, and that's where you would find me. Now we want to look at practical tips for daily implementation. So you'll be like, Jubilant, you've been talking so much. So what are those things that we need to do on the spot to make sure that this thing you are saying, we get to implement them with our children? Enough of the theory. How can practical? I've given you some practical tips though, but I have 14 strategies that would help you for enhanced speaking, practical tips for daily implementation for your children. And let's begin to look at that. And that's where we'll be rounding off this class because I said it's going to be a very short one. Number one is daily conversation. So this is just more of you having it in a place because we looked at the mistakes parents made and how to correct that. Now I'm just like giving it to you back to back. So you see, daily conversation, we've talked about that. Always talk to your children. Make it a habit. Make it, if you have to set an alarm because if you don't, you forget it. It's just like waking up in the morning and then the first thing you do is going to pray. Have a time where if it's maybe before midnight, your night prayer or before dinner, have a routine time to say, this is daughter and mother or father and son moment where you just converse with your child. Then have a lot of language games. There are a lot of language games. You could even start telling story as a family, tell imaginary story. We do this sometimes in school where we say, we all of us are going to tell a story. So this is how it is done. I start the first line, another person continues the line, another person. So it's like helping you for impromptu speeches and helping you to develop and express your thought rightly. So I could say, yesterday I attended the graduation ceremony at Foothold, and I keep quiet. Another family member continue. On reaching there, I saw a lot of people, and the children were speaking so well. That entered. The next person continues. You must make sure that your story, your next sentence is aligning with what the former person has said. And then you continue. It's just a circle. It's a language game. You'd see that way you're building vocabulary, you're building a language-rich environment for your child. Routine reading. If you have to set an alarm, like I told you, my dad would always have us by 9. So if you have to do that, please do that. Encouragement and praise. Encourage the little success, the little gains, the little things your child has done when you know that this is not what he or she does on a normal base. That way the child will want to do more, right? Then the next is utilize music and songs. So in when you play music, the child gets exposed to new words. For example, in the Cocomelon, the child gets, when they begin to use some words, you can pause it and say, do you know what this word means? And then you explain to the child. They're practical things that you could do. There are tips to implement it for your children. Incorporate rhymes and poetry. I already mentioned that initially. Then use visual aids. Yes. Now, I'd like you to know that your child is either a kinesthetic learner, an auditory learner, or a visual learner. Sometimes children are two of these, one of two of these, or two, or, so a child can be visual and auditory. A visual learner is those children who cannot learn until they see, right? Like it makes more sense to them when they see it. If you say that a ball is usually round in shape and when you place it on the floor, it bounces, they cannot have that mental picture. Good. But when you say this is a ball, it makes more sense to the child and the child can never forget. Those visual learners, the way to teach them fast, you don't even need to stress yourself. Like they are the easiest people to teach is showing them. These people want to see before they can believe. And that's why, as a parent, you need to understand where the category that your child is falling under to know if your child is an auditory learner, a visual learner, a kinesthetic learner. Visual learners are those children who learn by seeing. Auditory learners are those children who learn by hearing. Kinesthetic learners are those children who want to get into the act. And those ones are the ones we call the hyperactive. They are jumping there. If you say sit at a place, they are sitting. The next minute, they're but before you know it, they're over there. They are the kinesthetic learners. So you need to know what type, what category is your child. So that when you want to teach a kinesthetic learner, you could take the child outside where the child can be very expressive and not just every time in the classroom, every time inside your house. Take the child to a park, talk to the child. That's where the child will be able to tell you more about his day or her day because the child might get bored of just sitting in the house or sitting on the chair. So these are the different types of learners you need to take into consideration. By the visual learners, you're showing them flashcards. So when you're teaching the child maybe sounds at home, or you're showing the child flashcards, an example of an animal, a leopard, a lion, the child is seeing it. You use it now, it's not just about words. You use it to introduce new vocabulary, word for the day. You're showing the child. You're not just telling the child word for the day is livid. You write it and show the child so the child can see it. Oh, so this is how it is spelled, Livid, livid. Then you encourage the child to use it in a daily conversation, right? Then flashcard also has to do with showing them like storyboards where you create storyboards whereby they have daily routines. It helps the children to organize their thoughts and improve their narrative skills when they're talking to you. So it is very important. Then encourage question asking because some children will never talk unless you ask them. Have you seen? Yes. Do you know that? No, I don't. Will you become a? Yes, I will. So encourage the children to ask. Teach it. It fosters that engagement and curiosity in the children because they want to know. And you see those children that would not let you rest at home. Mommy and daddy would say, "Oh, mommy, I heard that the lion is a very big animal. Where does it stay?" They will ask you even the ones that make sense and the ones that doesn't make sense. Allow them. Allow them. Allow them. You don't know what God has done for you. God has buttered your bread because it's not all the children that are that way. Okay. So it fosters that curiosity in them. They want to know. Play games where your child has to ask a question to find out what you're thinking of, what you're talking about. Create a curiosity corner in your house where your child can post questions that they have. So, a curiosity question, it might not just be all the time they're coming to you. You can have a sound corner or a word wall, or one part of your house that could be for learning. They should go there, just write their question. Then when they come, have them read the question to you, right? Because it's about speaking. Yeah, so have them read that to you, and then you can explore the answers together. Any answer you don't know, go and ask Google or ask ChatGPT. Because these children can ask you questions that you never even envisaged in your life to answer. They can just throw you that off balance. Now, the next is interactive storytelling. So I mentioned storytelling. I was able to also give you example of what is being done in the UK with their storytelling. Just make your storytelling to be engaging, whereby you involve your child in the process of your storytelling, right? So you could have story cubes, right? Use story cubes with pictures on them, just like a cube, like the dice we have for Ludo game. So there's what we call story cubes. So you just make up pictures like that and you put it, you just roll it. Maybe you could have a picture that says lion, house, school, the four parts, the six, the eight, right? Or six corners. You see, I don't know math. I'm disgracing myself. I don't know math. But all the sides of the cube, you could use a carton, use anything to make a cube. Once you make that, and then you just throw the dice on the floor, on the table, whatever part that shows whatever word, the child should use that word to create a story. The child should just tell you a story revolving. So if you throw the dice and it's revolving around maybe school, the child should tell you a story about a school. If it's about the lion, the child should tell you a story. It's usually very fun and engaging. Parents, you should try it. Don't just be in this webinar to just learn and go away. You need to practice. Please practice. Very important that you practice. Then choose your own adventure. Choose your own adventure. You can choose your own adventure stories where your child makes decisions that affect the outcome of the story, whereby in the adventure you could say, oh, we went on a vacation and we went to the beach. So when you are good, the storytelling technique I told you, where you start with the first line and then your child can just take the storyline to another different thing, because it has to, the next sentence would have to align with his train of thought. He has taken it to another dimension. So that word is dimension, not dimension. Okay, he has taken it to another dimension. That's why you need to continue with his own train of thought and connect it. So that is it. Create your own adventure stories, and picture it, have it, let it be fun. It should be something that will be very engaging, so the child will keep looking forward to it. We're rounding off. The next is drama and performance. See, this is key. Drama and performance. Drama and performance is very important, where you begin to act some stuff, to say today is drama day. What we're doing today is basically this, da. Maybe you create a simple mini play. Yeah, you write and perform short plays. Just write it. Somebody will be the script writer, and then you perform it. You assign roles. You act this part. This is your line. We heard it, just like the movies, right? So, and then you just see yourself doing it. You just see yourself. So involve them in daily tasks. Tasks. Please don't say tax. Tax is different from task. Look at my mouth. Task. Tax. T-A-X. Tax. T-A-S-K. Task. Let me come back. I'm taking you to pronunciation now. So daily task involves your children. It requires kind of communication where they have to ask, oh, what do I have to do? What do I put next? Imagine that you're in the kitchen and it's cooking time with mommy. So they cannot cook on their own, right? You're teaching them. Or you've gone for grocery shopping. Let your child help with the grocery list and have them make up the list and have them find it when they get to the store. You say, okay, go and look for the cheese, Parmesan cheese, they'll go to look for it. You know, this is a task that you've assigned. It encourages descriptive language because you could say, oh, don't get the one with the red label, get the one with the dark brown and it's four shaped. You're describing. And it helps that child to build their cognitive ability to describe. It translates further into speaking. Parents, please take notes. I talked about cooking. You can involve them in cooking where they're measuring ingredients, recipe, and all of that. They begin to ask you the steps and actions to take next. So these are very important. These are very important. Please, if what we are saying is making sense, please let me know that it's making sense. Use the chat box. I've not seen a chat. I'm watching you here. I'm seeing you. So tell me it's making sense. Let me know if I'm communicating to someone, if there's a parent out there that what I'm saying is making sense to. So it doesn't look like I'm just speaking to myself and it's not making sense to anyone. So please let me know. Then create a word of the day routine. So you could have you could have a calendar, right? Where you just put it on your own as a parent, you've scheduled it. Then each day you begin to introduce these words. And then when you introduce it, you make sure that the word is used throughout the day. So you could have maybe a word of the day jar. Maybe there's a jar whereby you just write all the words and then you put it in there if you don't if you've written it out in the calendar. And then each day it's an activity. The child goes to pick one word from the jar and opens it. So the child will be looking forward to the next word of the day. Do you understand? So word of the day is very important. It's an interesting game that you as a parent can do. Each morning you pick a word and you challenge your child to use it. Remember what I said? That if you don't use it, you would lose it. And then after introducing a word, create a word wall in your house. So you could just have a corner and word of the day. So maybe word of day one is rescue. You write it rescue so that you would have been able to look at the previous words that you've gone through and the child can always go back to rehearse it, right? It's very important. So the next is to utilize nature and outdoor activities. And I mentioned this earlier. I said those children who are kinesthetic learners, please, as a parent, make sure that you're not always inside with your child. Take them out. Take them out, take them out, take them out to the pool, take them out to the park. These are good avenues to teach your children. Have a walk with them, take that stroll with them. Ask them, oh, what do you think this plant is? Have you seen this? What about this animal? What do you think? It builds their curiosity. Oh, that signboard, what does it read? The signpost reads what? What does yellow light mean on the traffic sign? Oh, what about the green light? You're trying to get them curious to learn things, and then they begin to ask you, right? So it's very important. And the next is encourage group activities. Very important. So you could have community events, you could have play dates where children of their age will just come together and then you have a game for them. They usually love it, especially when it's children their age. So it's very important that the children would put in all of these. And these children cannot put this in place if you, as a parent, have not made it available to them. And it's on this note that, because we've come to the end of this class, I've given you a lot of proven techniques. And let me ask you now, with all that we've talked about in this 1 hour, was I able to keep up to the 1 hour? Almost. With all that we've talked about in this 1 hour, I'd like you to use the comments to tell me, did it meet your need? Did you learn anything? Was it helpful? Was it insightful? Did you pick up any powerful thing or tip or trick in this class? Excuse my manners. Yes, I want to know. I want to know. It's making sense. Okay, it's making sense, ma'am. Accent ticket consultant. It's good to have you here, ma'am. Okay. Nkechi Eze. Oh, it's good to have you here, ma'am. It's making sense. Okay. Okay, it's making sense. Okay, I'm glad that it's making sense. And it's on this note that I want to introduce to you our online school, my baby online school called the Diction Craft Academy. This is an online school for adults and children. So we have adult classes. It runs in 4 batches in a year. And then that of the children comes up every holiday. In a holiday class, in the children's class, we help them with teaching intonation, public speaking, boosting their confidence. So this class runs basically 2 times in a week, and of all times we've been having it in the morning. But we realized that some children would have to attend summer classes of their respective schools, and that's why we've moved the class to evening. So the class started for the children. The holiday is almost here. So I think this is the best opportunity for you as a parent to use this period to equip your children to help shape and sharpen their verbal brilliance, to help them sail and skill in their social environment with their friends, to maintain relationship, to help them speak and heads would turn. They should be able to speak and heads would turn. That's what we're hoping for. So this is our baby online school for the adult. You as a parent, if you want to learn more, then you need to join the adult class. The next batch is in September. You can join that class. If it's your child, October rather, the adult class. The next batch is in October. We're right now in the middle of our present batch. So the next will come up in October. And if you want to register your child, please do well. Registration for the kids class is ongoing. It's just 15,000 naira, 2 times in a week. So this is how it is done. Upon completion of registration as a parent, you get automatic entrance into a WhatsApp group. It's in the WhatsApp group that you get the timetable, you get age appropriate time for your child, because of course it's for the ages of 4 to 16. We cannot have all the children in one class. We want to give them age appropriate topics that they would be able to relate to and learn at their own pace. So we have the ages of 4 to 7 in a class, 8 to 11 in a class. That's how we space it, so the children can be able to learn age appropriate topics. And we have a competent, capable instructor. The head of our kiddies online school, Miss Christy, is amazing. She's amazing. If you are not in any of my groups, I've posted her severally. You should just see, you would even fall in love with her more than myself. That is if you are falling in love with me already. Okay, we have proven techniques, we have results, because we've been doing this for a very long time, but this is our first time having it as an online school. So please make sure that you register your children. I'm going to drop the link to the registration on the chat, on the comments. So just look at the chat now, so you could just join. Alternatively, you can also send me a DM. I've been able to share my number with you, so please make sure that you reach out to me. Send me a DM in any of our social media handles. Send me a DM. I'm always looking forward to getting a DM from you. So please send me a DM. I'll be at the other side to hear from you. And whilst we're doing that, I'd like to take your questions if you have any. So please, any questions? Any questions? Yes, parent, I'd like to take your questions on all that we have learned. Oh, I'm glad it was educative and insightful, Rukayat. Thank you, Rukayat Ibrahim. Nkechi Eze, I learned a lot. Great. It's good to know that you learned a lot. I'm taking your questions now. I'm waiting for you to just type it. So just type your questions and let me take them. Type your questions and let me take them. I've just dropped the link for registration and I've pinned it in the comment, so it is there. I'll also drop the same on our platforms, on the groups that we have. If you are in the Telegram group, are you in our Telegram community? If you are not, please make sure you're there. Any question? I'm waiting for your question. I'm glad you learned a lot. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It's thank you, not thank you. It's thank you. British pronunciation, thank you. Any question? Any question? Okay, so this replay would also be available if you want to come back to it to learn one or two insights. Remind yourself again of what to say, what to do at any moment, at any specific time. This will be always available for you so that you can consume appropriately. And since I am not getting any question, no question, I would say thank you so much for joining. Please subscribe. If you've not subscribed to this channel, help my ministry. Help me to move to the permanent site. Please make sure you subscribe. I want to see you subscribe. Please subscribe now. Subscribe, subscribe. Please, that would really mean a lot to help us to grow. Thank you for joining this class. I'll be willing to also take your questions on the group, on our channels, on the channel on Telegram and on the WhatsApp group if you join from the WhatsApp group. So I'll be willing to take your question. You could also drop it there. By all means, I'll be willing to take them. Excuse my manners. And in the absence of any question, I think we have to call it a wrap. Thank you most graciously for joining me in this class. I had fun. Oh, quite educating. Okay, which days of the week are the class going to be on? Tuesdays and Thursdays, ma'am. Yes, Rukayat Ibrahim. It's Tuesdays and Thursdays in the evening, 4 to 7. So if you were thinking of the time, we'll start with the younger ones. Ages 4 to 7 will have their class first, which is 4 to 5. From 4 to 5 p.m., we'll have the first class, the younger children, 4 to 7. When we are done, then the ages of 8 to 11, we'll have them next. We'll have them next, which is 5 to 6. Then the last class, the big girls and boys, will have them 6 to 7. Yes, that's how it is done. And then did I mention that you have access to the replay of all the live classes so that you can see what your children have done, in the class. And if it happens that after this holiday, you want us to reinforce the subject, the topics that the child has learned, you always go back to it. It will be available for you so that you can always revise with your child. Apart from that, we get to send you a summary, like a 1 minute or 2 minute summary to the WhatsApp group of what your daughter or your son has learned. So you get all of these at just 15,000 naira. 15,000 right now cannot even take care of you for the weekend. To buy data, 15,000 naira cannot even handle that for a month. Well, I don't know of you, but for me, I'm a heavy user. So in the absence of it, oh, thank you, quite educative. Madu Nkechi, quite educative. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here till now. I really appreciate it. Can one? Oh, accent tickets. Insightful. Thanks a bunch. You're welcome. Okay. Can one without addiction knowledge and great vocabulary be taught from scratch? Of course. Right now, we have about 30 people in our adult online school, whereby they take a course called Elocution Mastery Course. In that course, we have over 11 modules and 30 lessons, where I was teaching you like a 10-year-old, as simple, so the basics. And you're not seeing transcriptions, things that would sound so strange and looks like Chinese. No, no. They are just for the regular Nigerian out there where you come and you learn. So you don't need to have a knowledge of the English sounds or be a pro in speaking before you come to our online academy. No, you don't. You don't. You don't. If you're asking for the adult online school, is a 5 week intensive class. Yes, 5 weeks for the adult class. And of course, you'll be getting certificates for the adult class. Then Mercy Abo said, is the 15,000 naira for each child? Yes, ma'am. It's for each child. However, if you have 3 children, you get a discount and pay 40,000 instead of 45,000. Yes, so that's it. Any other question? Any other question? Thank you. Thank you for staying with me till this time. It means so much to me. I appreciate your time. If you have further questions, I think I'll still take you back to that, to how you can connect with me. You can screen grab this if you were not able to screen grab it. So you can screen grab it to either call me, send me a WhatsApp message. I'll be on the other side. Send me a WhatsApp message, go to my DM on Instagram or Facebook, just send me messages. I want to answer you. I want to answer you. So thank you. I pray you put all of these into place to make sure that your child would speed their way to stardom. It is my earnest desire that we raise children that are socially intelligible. How much are we paying adult lesson? Adult lesson is 29,500 for 5 weeks. Yes, 29,500, and you get certificates at the end of the class. So you get to watch in your own pace. It's not like we have to come online. No. So once we onboard you. There's an onboarding session. Once we onboard you on Seller, you begin to get every week, you begin to get modules. 3 times in a week, you will have access to new lessons that you have to watch. Now, you have to make sure that you watch the released lesson for the week, because every Sunday, 8 to 9, 8 to 10, we usually have a live class to go through what we have watched, where I want to drill you, I want to take you through exercises, I want to answer your questions, I want you to just use me, loot me, finish me. Yes. So that's it for the adult class, the adult school. Yes, so the adult school is 29,500. The only time where you have to really be in class is once every week, and that's on Sunday, 8 to 10 p.m. Yes, where we have the live class. So the replay will be made available. Have a good night rest. I've not seen any other question. Sleep well, implement this, and always know that a child who can communicate his thoughts right will be able to stand in front of kings and queens, because he or she will be able to communicate his thoughts appropriately. It's on this note from my heart, I say, good night.